Hi everyone, welcome to or back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I will be reviewing every single book I read in 2023. So this is obviously going to take a lot of time. I'm going to try and be fast with these reviews, just like saying a sentence or two and then my rating. But grab a snack, get comfy, you may be here for a while. I will say I think this video is going to be extra fun because obviously I did not start my booktube channel until I think June or July. I think July. So I'm going to be talking about books y'all have never heard me talk about, and I think that is super fun. I started the year off with a bang and read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I thought this was so fun. Obviously, everyone has heard about this series. And although I wasn't obsessed with this first book, I could see where it was going, and I gave this 4 stars. Next up, I read The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This was my introduction into her writing, and I absolutely loved it. I think I gave this a 4.5 stars. I was obsessed, and that is why I've read every single book by her after this. I think this is my favorite book by her still, so. Okay, then that leads us into February. I read The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This was also my first Lynn Painter book, and I know a lot of people start with Better Than the Movies, but I fell in love with her writing from this book. And I feel like because I had no set expectations of her writing, I gave this 5 stars. Do I think this is a 5-star book? No. To be honest, this is probably a 4 stars, 4.25 maybe, but I'm obsessed with her books. They are just the best feeling ever. Okay, and then I read One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I was obsessed with this. I cried so hard over this book. I just genuinely believed that these were real people. This is like a love triangle whole thing. If you have not read this, please read this. I was obsessed with this. I gave this 5 stars, and honestly, I think this still holds, maybe a 4.75. Next up, in March, I had the pleasure of reading my favorite book of all time, and that is Mary Jane. I am obsessed with this book. It is everything to me. This takes place in 1970s Baltimore, and I was obsessed with that setting. I was obsessed with the characters, and I never wanted this book to end. I will 100% be rereading this in the new year. Then, because I have already read The 4 Agreements and loved that, I decided to pick up The Mastery of Love, and I also really enjoyed this. This is a self-help personal growth book, and although I didn't love this book as much as I loved that one, I was still really glad that I picked this up and would recommend. Okay, I'm so sorry for everyone that loves this book. I hated this book. This is my least favorite book of all time. This is Hook, Line, and Sinker. No. I should have DNF'd this. I gave it a 2.5 stars though, because I was intrigued at times, but overall could not stand the male main character. And then luckily we bounced back from that book and I read A Court of Mist and Fury, and this is the best thing ever. I mean, come on. It's crazy looking back because I rated this a 4.25, but I definitely would say this is a 4.75, maybe even 5 stars. Now I think we're in May and I read Hopeless by Colleen Hoover, and this book just was not it for me. That's partially my fault because I should have checked the trigger warnings, and I just don't think I like the way Colleen Hoover's writing makes me feel at the end of a book, or honestly during it too. I was so anxious reading this entire book and it made me not feel good, so 3.75. Next up, we have The Inheritance Games. I only read this book out of the entire series because I did not love it. I think this is a 3.5 for me. Have not thought about this book since I read it. Sorry. Then we have Happy Place by Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry's writing, and I just loved how raw and real this story felt. I know that this isn't everyone's favorite, but I will hopefully be rereading this in 2024 as well. And then Taylor Jenkins Reid does it again. I read Malibu Rising. I think I gave this a 4.5 stars. I loved the storytelling from this book and all the different POVs. I love this. I love her. Then I picked up another Lynn Painter book and I read Better Than the Movies, and I gave this a 4.75 stars. This was just the cutest thing ever. Liz really felt like one of the girls in this book. Then I read another self-help book, and that is The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown, and I really did enjoy this. Not my favorite self-help book, but I just really liked this. I think I gave it 4 stars. Okay, and then I read A Court of Wings and Ruin. This is my favorite book out of the series. I gave this 5 stars. I was obsessed with the way everyone showed up for one another, and I loved this. Also, that is the first book I think I read on this channel, so we are now caught up. I read Love on the Brain in July, and I was loving this until the end. It was so random and came out of nowhere, but I gave this 4.25 stars. Then I read A Court of Frost and Starlight, and although I didn't have high expectations for this book, I had a lot of fun in here, like being able to chill and relax, so loved this. Next up, I read Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I did not love this book like everyone else does, unfortunately. I thought it was kind of cute, but I'm just also not a big fan of, once again, YA, and because they were children for like half of this book, I did not like that. Nor do I love the childhood friends to lovers trope, so 3.75 stars. Then I picked up Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and I rated this 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite. This is a collection of short stories, and I did not love them all. And honestly, like, I didn't need to pick this up. I could have gone without, so. Then I started the Addicted series, and I started Addicted to You. I gave this 4 stars. Wasn't a fave, wasn't the worst, and I'm excited to continue this series. Then another favorite of the year is Carrie Soto Is Back. I think I gave this a 4.5 stars, but the amount of times I've thought about this book, it's definitely a 4.75 or 5 stars. I loved this. I loved the competition, the strategy, the relationship she had with her father. It was everything. I love this book. Then I read the second book in the Addicted series, Ricochet. I did not love this. I gave it 3 stars. I don't really have anything else to say. Okay, and then I do not physically own this book, but I read Flawless by Elsie Silver. This was my introduction to the Chestnut Spring series, and I gave this 4 stars. It was everything I loved read, so yeah. Then I read a different book for me. This is The Scent Keeper. I had it on my shelf and I was like, let's read this. So I did, and I did not love it. I gave this a 3.75. It wasn't my favorite. Honestly, it's probably like a 3.25 stars. I've not thought about this book since, but. Next up is my first Alice Feeney book, and that is Daisy Darker. I gave this 3.75 stars. I was pretty entertained until the end, and then I was super disappointed by the ending, and yeah. Next up is Red, White, and Royal Blue. I wanted to read this because I knew the TV show or movie, whatever it is, was coming out. Did I watch it? No. But this book was just a little too long for me, especially considering it's not a slow burn. So yeah, 4 stars. Okay, then I read The Summer I Turned Pretty, the first book, and I was so disappointed. I literally was like, what is this? But I have to remind myself it's young adult. This probably would have been way more entertaining for me if I was younger. If I didn't already own the whole series, I probably would have stopped here. This is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This is a memoir, also kind of different for me. It wasn't my favorite thing, but I think I would enjoy rereading this in my later 20s. Then I read Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This just was kind of nostalgic for me since I started reading the Off-Campus series and got back into reading. I just love a good hockey team, and I liked that they were both into sports. I gave this 5 stars. Then I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I really did enjoy this. I'm not big into mystery thrillers, so I was easily entertained, and I gave this 4.25 stars. Okay, then I read It's Not Summer Without You. I gave this 3 stars. Like I said, did not enjoy these. Ooh, okay, and then I read The Naturals. This is the first book of the series, and I could already tell from book 1 that I was gonna love this, so 4 stars. Next up, I read It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I gave this 3.75. It felt like one big epilogue and was kind of unnecessary, but I wasn't mad at it. It was cute for what it was, you know? Next up, I read Heartless. I gave this like 4.5 stars, I think. I mean, this is like a 5-star book for me. Probably not, but I just want to say that because of how much I love these characters. Cade. Guys, I love him. Then I read Shatter Me. This was my first time reading it. I wasn't obsessed, I was scared. It kind of made me anxious because of like the whole dystopian thing. I'm just a baby about that kind of stuff, but I give this 3.5 stars, which is fine, but just know that this is one of my favorite series, so just because it has a low rating doesn't mean you shouldn't rate it. Okay, and then my review for this was I'm glad it's over, so I think I give this 3.75 stars though. Ooh, then I read The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This was cute, this was fun, it was quick. It was definitely rom-com movie vibes, but I give this 4 stars. Okay, I don't know exactly where it is, but I read the Destroy Me novella. This is book like 1.5 of the series. I don't rate novellas. I honestly don't remember how I felt about it, so yeah. Then I read Unravel Me, and I brought out a few tabs for this. And my note for this was, it's getting better. So yeah, here's this, 4 stars. Then I read Fracture Me. Once again, I don't know where I misplaced this book, but it was a novella. I have nothing to say about it. Then I read Fourth Wing, and I was obsessed with this. I gave this 5 stars. I loved the idea of this fantasy set in a school, set with dragons. I loved this. Then I read Love Theoretically. I think I overhyped this. Unfortunately, I did tab it, but I gave this 4.25 stars. It was not my favorite by her, but I did love Jack. I just got annoyed by her quite a bit, so yeah. Okay, and then I read Ignite Me, and my review for this was suddenly I'm obsessed with this series, so I think that's all you need to know. I think I give this like a 4.25, so getting higher with the ratings for the Shatter Me series. Then I read book 1 and book 2 of the Vampire Academy. I really liked these. I think I only gave this like a 3.5 stars, but then I gave this like a 4.25. I had so much fun with this book. I don't know why I haven't continued the series since this one. Then I read Powerless by Elsie Silver. Unfortunately, this did not do it for me. Like I said about the childhood friends to lovers trope, 3.5 stars. Dead Romantics, I think this was a case of right book, wrong time. I gave this 4 stars, but I would love to give this a shot in another time. Then I read The Bodyguard by Catherine Sinter. I thought this was so cute, very wholesome. Would recommend. I gave this 4.25 stars. Then I read this huge book of A Court of Silver Flames. This was not my favorite in the series. I think I gave this a rating of somewhere in the 4s. Yeah. Then I read The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This is cute for what it was, like a little holiday type book. I had fun with this, so yeah, I think I give this like 4 stars. Then I read A Curious Beginning. This was a different read for me too. This is a historical fiction kind of romance, and I think I gave this 4.25 stars. Kind of underrated. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this. So if you liked Divine Rivals, I would recommend this. Next up is Wildfire, the same author as Icebreaker. I gave this 4 stars. The camp setting was just not my vibe. Then I read Twilight. I didn't give this a rating, but like, I don't know, 4 stars, it was fine. Another Shatter Me book. I don't remember what this one was about, but yeah. Then I read the Shadow Me novella. Once again, no rating, don't know what this is about. Then we have The Kiss Curse, the same author as the Ex-Hex. This was once again cute. I liked the side characters more in this, but nothing crazy. I think I gave this like 3.75 stars. Then I read Defy Me. This one was a standout book. This was my favorite, I think, out of the series. I gave this 5 stars. This book gave me whiplash. Then I read the next novella, Reveal Me. Nothing to say there. Then I read Writers and Lovers. I loved this book so much more than I thought. It read like a memoir. I gave this 4.5 stars. Next up, I read Magnolia Parks. I obviously rated this 5 stars. Couldn't talk to anyone for hours after this book, so yeah. Next up, I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, my first book by her. I had the biggest crush on this guy. He was so cute. 4.25, would definitely recommend this. Next up, I read Divine Rivals. I don't know what I originally rated this, but it was probably like a 3.75 realistically. I did not love this as much as everyone else did, but I did tab it, so that's fun. Then we have We Were Liars. This is like an OG book talk book. Not my favorite, like 3 stars, I think. Then I was super happy there was a novella after this one because this was supposed to be like the last big Shatter Me book, and I did not love this. I think I gave this like a 3.5 stars or something. Then I read Once Upon a Broken Heart. I did not love this book, but I could see where the series was going, and I was excited for that. 4 stars, I think. Then I read Daisy Hates. Once again, could not talk to anyone, couldn't process my emotions. This book did things to me. Yeah. Then I read Believe Me, the last Shatter Me book, novella, and I did not rate this, but I was happier with this ending compared to the last book. Then I read Checkmate. I know this isn't everyone's favorite, but I thought it was cute. I would have liked to see more chess at the end, especially like pertaining to like the big plot at the end, but I still thought this was cute, like 4 stars, I think. Then I read Iron Flame, and I was disappointed. 3.75 stars. Then I read Too Wrong to Be Right, and I was surprised. I gave this 4 stars. This was a really cute and underrated book in my opinion. Okay, we're almost there, I promise, but then I read None of This Is True. I was obsessed with this. I could not put this down. Loved this, 4.75 stars. Okay, the next book is All In, but obviously I read Killer Instinct before that. I don't know where I misplaced that in my Goodreads thing, but I loved this. I gave this a 4.75 stars. It's definitely my favorite book in the series. I liked how the romance continued in this book. This was not my favorite book. I don't know what I gave this. I've talked about it in a recent video, maybe like 4.25 stars. Then I read Six of Crows. I don't know why this was so hard for me to get into. I annotated it, which is fun, and I remember being super happy that it did so because I would have been so confused if I didn't. But yeah, like 4 stars. I'm excited to read the second book, and hopefully it lives up to the hype. Then I read Love Light Farms, and I was so surprised by this book. I gave this a 4.25. I was so obsessed with Luca. I really believed their love, and This was so cute. Then I read another Christmas book that is The Christmas Appeal. Did not like this. I gave this like 2 or 3 stars. So next up is All's Fair in Love and Christmas. This was cute. It was short. Would recommend, but not like you must read this kind of book. Okay, now talking about a must read. Reckless. I mean, come on. I feel like I'm blushing over this man, and he's fictional, but Theo Silva says jump and I say how high. So then we have Bad Blood. Was not in love with this book. Thought it was gonna be a 5 stars and it wasn't. I gave this a 3.75 stars. Okay, I don't feel like grabbing it, but it's right there. That's The Ballad of Never After. I loved this book, 5 stars for sure. Next I read Legends and Lattes. I have just been putting this book off for a while, so I decided to finally read it. It wasn't anything special, but I mean, it was fun. I think I gave that 3.75 stars. Then I read the novella out of this book. It's called 12. It was fun time. I liked it more than Bad Blood, so. And that brings us to my last book of the year, which is Betting on You by Lynn Painter. I mean, I love her writing, so to nobody's surprise, I loved this. Bailey and Charlie were so cute in this book. I just love how Lynn Painter makes her characters friends before they're a couple. Okay, that is all 83 books that I read. I literally have to run out the door, so gonna make this outro short. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you read great books in 2023. And if you didn't, 2024 is here, so get reading. Okay, see y'all in the next one. Love y'all. Bye, guys.